Hey, welcome to another KIE session, KIE Live session. Hey, Porcelli.
Hey, Karina, how are you?
So far, so good. Looking forward to today's talk, as usual.
Yeah, today we have another new guest to this channel, and I think it'll be very valuable content.
I think he was here during the OptaPlanner week because he's an expert with business automation in all the different aspects of it. But today he is not here to talk about business optimization. He's here to talk about process automation.
Oh, no. He's here to destroy beliefs.
Ooh, yeah, he's gonna do that. And I want to know why. And you know what, Porcelli? We should trust Donato's opinions because, and I'll tell you why. He's seen different projects in different sectors around the globe. He's a specialist and he's out there in the field working on implementing and suggesting not only the best practices for the implementation of the processes and rules itself, but also the whole architecture. So he has the whole view of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. He was the champions that are putting our product line in customers' hands and do a white glove delivery, let's say this way.
So let's bring him. Hey, Donato, welcome.
You're on mute.
Okay, now sound check. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Oh, thank you very much for the introduction. I'm really, I'm red, so really embarrassed. Yeah, so I have the pleasure of working on this technology since long time so far. Maybe about 10 years just working on around process automation with multiple products. So I was pretty, when you see the same problem from different angles, at the end you start understanding some truth that are always there.
Okay, I want to see if you're going to crush my beliefs like you promised. So you can share your screen and let me tell something for you who's watching us right now. Thank you for being live with us today. If you're not, you are missing the opportunity to ask all your questions. So if you're here right now, feel free to share your questions on the chat. We'll bring it to Donato and we can also have a chat on the chat. So on that chat.
And don't forget to like and subscribe because then you'll be notified of the sessions.
Yeah, Donato, I am now sharing your screen and go for it.
Okay, thank you. So, hello. So this title try to be a bit provocative. So the idea is trying to destroy some wrong belief and try to focus on the real process value, on the real process that you should try to run. So thinking to this presentation, thinking to this session, I was inspired by my old knowledge of philosophy that came from high school. And I remember this phrase coming from Lord Francis Bacon, that is an English philosopher, and he was known as one of the philosophers of the scientific methodology. And he said basically that a scientific dialogue, a scientific presentation should start from a pars destruens and then have a pars construens. In other words, you should, before destroy the wrong belief, the wrong prejudice that you may have, and then you can build on a playing ground the real truth. So just an idea to joke a little bit with the words, just a little bit to introduce this theme. So in other words, now we are talking about anti-pattens, so things that are that are wrong. And so if starting from what is wrong, you can understand what is good, hopefully. So, okay, let's deep in the topic. Let's deep in the process automation. So, what you see now, it's a picture. It's a screenshot from a real process that was designed by a real customer. So, and well, the intent of this picture, and there are other like this one, is to explain that it's sometimes customer fall in the temptation of using the process designer like a sort of spider web, where they can draw all their activities they want to drive, and people create those big picture with hundreds of tasks, and they are completely a mess to understand, so really difficult to understand. So you may think, okay, Donato, you are just talking about style. If I want to create a big picture, it's a big picture. I want to create 100 of tasks. It's fine. It's up to me. Well, the reality is that this is a big problem, because let's say that you are failing completely the purpose of process automation. So, because the reason why you are using a BPM platform, the reason why you would like to use a BPMN diagram, is because you want to share the process knowledge with someone else, someone that is not a developer, someone that is the business stakeholder. So if you fail this goal of sharing the knowledge, of creating a picture that is near to what expect the business stakeholder, you are completely missing the point. So 80% of the final goal of the product is completely missed. So so it's not a matter of style; it's a matter of core value of the process automation. So, as a rule of thumb, I would say that when a process is more than 20, 30 tasks, it's likely that you are designing a wrong process. You are designing a process that is error-prone, is difficult, has no clear status, and it's really difficult to understand. So, what are the causes? So, what happened is that people what happened is that customers buy the product because they want to design business processes. Then they leave the product in the hands of developers, and developers start thinking, "Oh, what amazing tool! I can draw my line. I can draw my flow chart with this fantastic tool." And so they try to create, but instead of writing code, instead of writing Java code or C# code or whatever, they start drawing lines. They start put box on the board, and so they go for basically they miss the point about the granularity. They go for a wrong granularity. The task lack of business purposes. They are focused on the technical task that they have to do. So what are the consequences? So people start complaining that BPM is low, so that the engine slow down. The reason is because it's not designed, the BPM product is not designed for such level of granularity. So you are just misusing it. And the process itself is also hard to maintain. So what is the solution? The solution is trying to redesign completely the process, to split in different level, in different layer. You have to stay focused on what is the stakeholder So when you design the process, you have to think who is going to watch this picture. So because before or later, there will be someone that will open the process diagram and will try to understand what's happening inside. So you have to think to the final consumer of the diagram. The final consumer of the diagram is not the developer. The final consumer of the diagram is the business stakeholder. So, and yeah, consider the task purpose, obviously. So the golden rule is that the process is a chain of business relevant tasks and decisions. And the flowchart is a diagram, is another thing. It's a representation of an algorithm. And you haven't to use the BPMN to design a flowchart. Okay, so this is the first rule. Yeah, and just to, so again, if you have a process like this, where you have a chain of technical tasks, chained one after the other, without any point in the middle, without a state, there is no intermediate state, this process has no value. This is not a process at all. So it can be a flowchart. You can create a camel route to implement this logic, but it's useless doing it with the process engine because there's no business value here. Another wrong belief that I found in my customer is the idea of using the BPMN diagram to basically to control the UI experience, the user experience, basically. So they try to design a process where they control the screen that the final user has to go through. So they design a process like this one where there is some technical task, then they show the form A, then go in the form C, or go back on the screen B and put a timeout if the user doesn't react in 10 seconds, things like that. So what's happening here is that the UI try to leverage the process engine to control the view. And this is, again, an absolutely wrong pattern. What happened is that the UI continues so that there are again problems in terms of performances because the application, the user interface application, continues poll the process to understand what is my next task to show, what I have to show to the user, what are the data they have to show. And there is this continuous ongoing dialogue between the UI and the process engine. So, so what are the causes? Well, the causes is again that people haven't understood the correct role of the process engine. Sometimes people look for a low-code development platform. Some of those low-code development platforms have a web flow where you can design how the user go through the different screens. But this is another kind of product. So again, people start complaining about the slowness of the BPM engine, start complaining about the timer service that have a problem dealing with such short-living timer, because you can imagine hundreds of users and having 100 of timer of 30 seconds, 60 seconds that start firing altogether, it becomes a mess. And then it's even a challenge in terms of maintenance, again, because every time that you do a change in the user interface, you decide that you want to capture an information in a different screen, you have to change the process level with all the change that it comes with the versioning of the process and so on and so forth. So basically, the solution is just drop off this these processes. Those kind of processes have no meaning at all, so you can just trash it. Again, the process is not a web flow at all. Okay, so another thing, another abuse that I've seen is the abuse of event subprocess. I don't know if you are aware of this semantic of the BPMN. It's pretty useful. It's really nice. You can basically you may have a main process that is ongoing, but you want to deal with some incoming event that can happen at any point in the time during the main process life. And you want to handle those incoming events. Sometimes because you want to cancel some ongoing activity, you want to postpone whatever, okay? So, and so far, if you design 1, 2 event subprocess, it's pretty good. It's fine. It's something that you can deal with it. But as long as you exaggerate with the event subprocess, when you have a dozen of event subprocess, then it becomes a really fragmented and confusing logic. Again, you are missing the point of making clear what's happening inside the process engine. The logic is completely is really difficult to follow. So, what are the solutions? So in this case, the business logic is in the right place. So this kind of business logic can be designed with the process engine. The problem is not the business logic, but in this case is a matter, let's say, of style. Is a matter of using the right tool for this different semantic. And now we have since version 7, we have a really powerful notation to describe those kind of processes that are more event-driven and less choreography, less centralized than traditional process. So, the solution is trying to move away from the traditional BPMN notation and to embrace the case notation, to embrace the milestone notation, the ad hoc task notation, the stages, and so forth. So, golden rule: a process is so the goal of a process design of a traditional BPMN is trying to design a perfect repeatable sequence of activities. So the goal of the process designer for a BPMN diagram is trying to achieve the optimal process. Iteration after iteration, the designer would like to reach the perfect shape. So where nothing of unpredicted happen, it's all under control, and the process keep the pace for the perfect timing, for the perfect sequence of activities. So the process drive the logic. The case management is quite the opposite. So the case management, who try to design a case, the goal is not trying to find the perfect sequence of activity, because the perfect sequence of activity doesn't exist at all. What they try to do is trying to collect as much as possible the experience of the users, and so give to the user, empower the knowledge worker with a tool that let the knowledge worker decide which is the next best action to do. So It's a complete. It's a game. It's a you could be tricked at the beginning because you see that you may think that case management and BPMN is just another way of designing the same thing. But the reality is that it's a completely different approach. It's another point of view. It's a completely specular point of view. Okay, so remind when you have too many events that happen in your process, maybe it's the time to reshape your process, to change from a traditional BPMN to a case management design. So far so good. We have the last anti-pattern, that is the process used as a system of records. So this is even a pretty bad behavior. So if you look at this process, you see that the process starts, inserts some data, and then you have event, which the only goal of this event is just to change the data inside the process. Why this process is wrong? What you see is not inside the process, but it's more on the application side. So what you see is that the application tries to inquire the process engine continuously to get the latest information. They do a big usage of process variable inspection APIs to retrieve the data from the process. And then they use events, or they directly, or worse, they try to direct update the process variable. So this is the pattern. So if you look to an application that behave in this way, that try to update the process variable, that just send event to the process engine just to change the status of the variable, and then they inquire the process engine continuously for the process status. They are following this pattern that is wrong. Why it's wrong? Well, the reason is because they look at the process engine like it's like the process engine was the information owner, and the process engine is not the information owner. So the information should stay in a proper system of record. And you could see that the user interface try to interact directly with the process engine without any other mediation layer, and everything that the user interface do is updating the process status. So again, this is wrong, because the BPM engine is not efficient in retrieving the information. At least by default, the process variable are stored as blob inside the process database. And this approach is good enough if you are using the process variable for their goal, for what they are supposed to do. But if you want to use the process engine as your final database, you are hitting again a limitation of the product. Again, it's not only a matter of product limitation. It's a matter of wrong design. So, and you get a really bad behavior in general, in terms of also maintenance of the process. So what is the solution? So the solution is to introduce a service layer, so another microservices that is in charge of persisting the data in a proper system of record. And whenever the process logic need to affect data, need to change the data, those data should be changed in the system of record, in the single source of truth. So the golden rules is to, this is a common question that by time to time happen to hear from customer. So how should I model the process variable inside the process? So the goal of what I try to say is that the goal of the process variable is trying to handle the minimum amount of data that are necessary to accomplish the process mission. So things in terms of process mission. What are the data that you need inside the process? So those data can become process variable. You don't need to oversize the data model just because you need data from your application point of view. So just keep the reference inside the process engine and go on the source of truth to get the latest version of the data. Okay, so I have finished with the destroying part of the presentation. Hope that I haven't destroyed your process, but I think that I have done some. I gave to you some idea to keep in mind when you design your processes. And obviously, those are just a set of anti-patterns that I met in my professional life. But you know, there's never end for mistakes. So I think that all those mistakes have in common the idea of using the tool for the wrong job. So if you are using a middleware, whatever kind of middleware it is, if it's the process engine, a process engine, a rule engine, a rule engine. So you have to think, what is the purpose of this middleware? What value try to bring this building block? If I try to use this building block for the wrong purpose, before or later I will fail in my architecture. So now let's talk of good examples. So let's start to build on top of this plain ground that we have created. So we have destroyed at least hope to have destroyed some of the main obstacles on the process design way. And so let's look at the real processes. So what is a real process? The reality is that actually what happened is that what I will show you is a demo. So it's not a real process. Nevertheless, I believe that this demo can be a sort of prototype, a sort of model that you can use to measure your process. So if you look, this is a good example. I try to build this demo, trying to give a good example of how to create a process. What would be the good shape for a process. Okay, for doing this, I will switch on beloved Business Central, and we will deep into the process design. Okay, let's filter for processes. Oh, just a reminder. This demo is public in our Git repository on GitHub. We will share the link later. So you can install your environment in your RHPAM, and it's quite well documented. If there is something missing, let me know. Okay, so let's focus on this process diagram, the order management. Order management is a kind of process that is present in any kind of organization. So whatever organization you are in, if you are in a non-profit organization, if you are in a bank, in enterprise, in a big enterprise, in a medium, a small business, you have this kind of process. So basically, the process starts with someone inside the company that has a need for a new item that is not present inside the company at the moment, because let's keep it simple. Let's say that I need a new mobile phone, or I need a new printer, whatever. So I have to follow the process that is inside my company to acquire a new item. So, this shape, this is a quite this is a human-centric process. So all the grid part of those tasks that you see here are human tasks. First of all, you have another thing that you will see here is the usage of swim lane. Swim lane notation is something that is optional, so I don't use it always, but it's a good practice when you have multiple users that have a role at many stages inside the process. So in this case, the purchase department has two tasks here. So it's engaged, one when the process is started, and at the end of the process. So having the swim lane that let you focus on the fact that are different roles inside the process is a nice way of showing that you have those roles involved at the right time. Okay, so let's explain this process really quickly. So someone needs a new item, and it starts a request for the purchase department. Someone in the purchase department take the request and prepare the request for offer that is targeting the final supplier. So he will select the best supplier to involve. He will select the feature that the information that are important for the supplier. For example, he can set the target price and so on and so forth. Then you have a bunch of suppliers that can be involved, and you see from those parallel line here that this task is for multiple users. They will provide their best offer, their delivery date, and then you have a rule, a decision, more precisely, a decision when to accept this offer, how to select the best offer, when to accept automatically this offer, and when to engage the manager for a final approval. So based on this decision, you can go into the final step, that is place order in the ERP, or you can go in the manager approval. So again, one of the things that I want to highlight here is that this is the level of abstraction that the business stakeholder expect. So this is when the user has to understand what is the status of the process. So let's think, who are the final user of this picture? This is an important question. The final user of this picture is the people in the purchase department, the manager, eventually can be even the supplier, or someone that has filed the request, the person who started the process, that want to know at which stage is its process. So you have to stay in the shoes of that user, and from his point of view, you have to understand if this picture makes sense for them. Okay, so from this point of view, you will not find any technical activity here in the middle between this task and this task, because for a business point of view, maybe you have you have to deal with some technical detail, like translating the data, like using a specific protocol. So this is something that you cannot do in this picture, because it's not the purpose of this picture. So you have to hide this level of detail from your final user. So, and this is one of the important points. So, and this picture, I believe that is pretty clear for the final consumer. You may have even different level of stakeholders, so people that might desire to go deeper and to drill down inside this place order subprocess. So, and so we can do this. We can drill down inside the subprocess, and the person can see this picture that explain in detail what's happening behind the scene inside the process that that is dealing with the final ERP system. So again, this process could be completely wrong, but it's not wrong for one reason. What is the reason why I have this? Why this process is meaningful? The reason why I have this process is because I have here in the middle between this task and this task, I have a wait state. So I have to wait that the final ERP send me back a confirmation event. If I haven't this event, if I don't have this event here, if I have just a chain of tasks, just a chain of service call, this is not anymore a process. So I can drop this process completely. I can move this logic somewhere else. I can put this logic in Java code, in a fuse, in a camel route, whatever. The meaning of a process is just because I have a wait state. If I don't have a wait state, I don't have a process. Okay, that I think it's an important message. Yeah, you could have some technical chain of activities, but okay, let's try to keep it. Yeah, you should think to what is the purpose of that design. If someone is going to look at this process, if someone is interested in seeing this picture, then you are designing in the right place. If nobody, at least nobody in the business stakeholder, between the business stakeholder, is interested in looking this picture, you have no reason to design this picture. Okay, hope that this makes sense. Okay, so now let's use a little bit this process just to show that actually it's working. So I can trigger the process. So let's say, there are a bunch of processes.
Before you move forward, I have a tricky question.
Yeah.
So you just said that whenever a business person is not interested in looking at the diagram, then the diagram shouldn't be split. And I have a question. So what about reusable pieces of the project that not necessarily needs to be seen by the business people?
Well, obviously, as usual, you may have different opinion. So, there are things that are arguable. My opinion, that is a bit strong, let's say, it's a bit extreme, is that whenever you don't have a business purpose for a process, you don't have to use a business process engine. So if your process is a technical chain of activity, and those technical chain of activity, there's no business stakeholder that have to look inside to look at this picture, there's no reason why you are designing that. So if you design it like a process just because you like it, because you are you are a fan of BPMN, you think that it can be reused, okay. But okay, I hope that this becomes yeah, in a project, in the balance of a project, those kind of activity, those kind of processes should be a minority. Okay, so the core of a project, of a process automation project is a process that has a status, that has a business purpose. Otherwise, you are just using the product just because someone has said you to use this building block, or because you like it, or yeah, I don't know. Well, there could be different reasons, but not because it makes sense. To be honest, it doesn't have a big technical sense.
Thank you, Donato.
You're welcome. So yes, let's trigger a process. We have other, we can trigger other processes, but let's stay focused on the main order management process. Okay, so let's say that I want to increase a little bit the font so you can follow better, hopefully. So let's select my phone. I need a new phone. This is a bit old. I should refresh the list with something new. Okay, let's say that I have a medium urgency for this phone. And I started the process. So obviously, this is the business central. This is, I give this for granted. So I expect that you already know how the product works. But just a little bit for the new buy, this is Business Central. This is not meant to be the final user interface for your application. But your application, this is just a prototype, okay? Just for quick prototyping, just to inspect the process behavior. So it's more a developer tool than a final UI for your end user. But okay, you can expect that in your final application that you can design what any technology you like, you will have a similar experience. So as a user, you can trigger a process. Maybe you don't neither know that there is a process engine behind. You just need a new phone, and that's it. So you file a request for a new phone, and that's it. And the same point, one day passed, and you ask to yourself, okay, what's happening to my phone? Who is dealing with this request? Who is in charge for this request? And so in your application, someone can show you this diagram that is pretty, okay, I need to resize it a little bit. And yeah, maybe you are not an expert of BPMN, but I think that I could explain to my daughter, to my child, what is the meaning of this picture. So someone here in the purchase department is dealing with my request, and then there will be someone in the supplier department, someone in the supplier from the suppliers that will deal with it, and so on and so forth. So is crystal clear what is the status of my phone? Where is my phone? My phone is on the desk of someone in the purchase department. Okay, that's the goal of the process engine. So let's play the role of the purchase department. I go into my task list as someone in the purchase department, and I can claim the task, work on it, say, okay, I want to engage the supplier 1 and the supplier 2. I want to say that this order is a category optional, and the target price for this phone is $120 or whatever of euro. and then I complete my task. And so again, the day after, I want to know where is my phone, and it's like the tracking number. And let me check my phone. So I know that my phone is, obviously the UI will show me just my request. This demo hasn't this kind of complexity. So, but let's say that I know that is this one, okay? And so finally I can track the status of the order. So we are waiting for supplier to provide our the phone. Okay, I don't want to go through all the steps of the process. You got the message. The last 5 minutes of this demo, I want to show you the final goal of the process automation. So final goal is to offer business insight. So we have a dash builder that is a pretty nice business intelligence for your processes. It's not the only tool that you can put in place. You can export the data in a different repository. You can browse your data or the other business intelligence tool, whatever you want. But okay, you got the purpose. So finally, you can look at the information. Some business analysts can try to understand what's happening inside your process. So how many requests are optional, how many are basic requirement, and what is the status. And last but not least, one of the key feature of this dashboard is to show the heat map, where you can finally understand how the process is behaving. So, and looking at this heat map, you can understand, for example, that the approval is not so frequent. So, and this is good because you are not engaging a manager to approve a phone every time. And so this is what you expect as a business analyst. So you like this. Otherwise, you could think, no, I want to engage the manager more frequently because, yeah, I have to spend my energy in approving, but it's important to avoid that orders that my company spend too much in useless things. So this is one of the final outcome of the process management. So since you have a process that is designed in a process engine, you can collect those metrics. You can collect those. You have those measure of how effective is your process engine. How effective is your process? Okay, so I think that I've said everything that I have in the list to say. Let me think. I just one important thing that I want to show you is the SLA due date. This is an important feature to show to the business stakeholder. So this is again an important feature of the process automation. So you want to keep track, you want to make sure that your processes, your tasks are completed on time. So you want to keep the pace of your processes. And the SLA is a way to ensure that tasks are completed, are performed in the right timing. I think that's all. So hope that you enjoyed this approach of destroying and building, and you got something useful today.
Oh yeah, I think it was great.
Thank you.
I think you brought some great practices for the implementation of BPMN itself. Also, some tips on how to split diagrams, how big it should be, how to address these problems. And these are not like, you cannot find these tips like easily on the web. So thank you so much for sharing so much knowledge, Donato.
You're mute now.
Oh, thank you for bringing me here. Now I can say to my daughters that I'm a YouTuber, so I'm really happy for this.
No. To be classified as a YouTuber, you need to do like Porcelli. Please remember to like and subscribe.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I appreciate everyone's time here today. Is there anything left to say, Porcelli, before we wrap up?
No, just again, thank you very much, Donato. Great content. I think it will be very helpful for our audience. And this is be recorded here, be available for posterity, and really great reference material.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you very
you,
much.
Donato. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. See you next week. And let's talk a little bit more about Kogito, Drools, business rules on the next week. Okay? So see you there and bye-bye.
See you. Bye.